Hi, my name is Anand Siva. I've been a vegan for close to 10 years. I've been constantly asked a lot of questions by a lot of youngsters who struggle to fight the barriers of being vegan in tough environments. And when I say tough environments, it's not just about hostile people, it's about coexisting in a work environment where you are singled out for being a vegan, where you're singled out in a family for being vegan, in family events, in family functions, etc. And there is a general feeling of people struggling to emphasize, to reinforce, to make it known that being a vegan is something that they believe in and they should continue to foster that, right? So I thought I'll focus for the next few minutes on how I have managed to fight these battles, because when I started talking about being a vegan in my workspace, and I used to work in large corporate organizations, I was obviously very, very lonely there. There wasn't too much of company, there weren't too many people, but I still managed to pull through. But let me put down a caveat here, is that I had some privileges. I was a senior executive, I could throw my weight around, but I also encouraged a couple of youngsters who had joined much later and were vegans to do the same things that I did, right? So if I have to look at these and say, what are those 4 or 5 points that you should remember, that you should stand up for, that will make your battle, that will make your ability to stand up as a vegan far more emphatic. I thought I'll put it down in very, very 5 simple points. The first one that happens is this comparison juggernaut. What do they do in this juggernaut? People tend to compare a vegan, compare you and me with someone else, for something far more serious. For example, there have been so many occasions when we've been told, oh, I read about this chap who went vegan and then finally had to give up because he was almost dead. Oh, did you know what happened to Steve Jobs? He died sooner than he should have because he turned vegan. So we are constantly reminded, we are constantly compared to a lot of people who probably were either wrong vegans, unlucky vegans, or rare, right? They do not compare you with hundreds of people who die of heart disease, people who die of diabetes, people who die of a lot of other illnesses. They are by millions, but we are still compared to the few who turn vegan and die. It's almost like implying that when we turn vegan, we went and told the world that we are invincible, we are immortal, we are not going to die. Right? So don't allow yourself to be compared. Just as much as you would not like to be compared with your cousin, with your sibling, with another executive, with your peer, you are alone, you are unique, you are special. You stand up for who you are. It doesn't matter what the other person did. So don't let yourself be compared. Be extremely powerful in that communication that says, hey, listen, I'm a vegan by choice. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing all that I should be doing. Leave it to me. I will take care of what I should be doing from there, right? The second point that I would bring in is never allow yourself to be pushed, painted into a corner. I'll tell you how that works. People love to corner you, thinking that they have great statistics, great data, great details, and they would love to throw that on you, right? And the way it will come around is to ask you very trick questions. Oh, have you heard of this something? Which will be something that they read about in some magazine, they heard about it from somewhere. It will be some phrase, some terminology none of us use in our daily vocabulary, or some chemical name that they will pull out, and they'll say, you know what, if you don't have it as part of your amino acids, in all likelihood, you are probably going to be suffering from something that they don't even know what is. They'll paint you. They'll start asking you a question knowing that you will not have an answer, and then make you feel extremely insecure, makes you feel extremely unempowered or ill-informed, and then say, listen, you don't know what you're doing. That's why you should eat all foods. You don't need to worry about all of it. Don't allow yourself to be painted into a corner. The moment you go into a corner, then you're on the back foot. You cannot come out of it. The third, this is what has held me in good stead always. Don't ever compromise. Don't. If you are pushed to a corner and you need to compromise on your principles, they are no longer principles. They are principles because you live by them, you stand by them, you stand for what those principles are. Never ever compromise it, even in your weakest moment, in the most difficult situations. Be extremely steadfast, be extremely committed, be extremely convinced. The moment you compromise, then there are situations that they will throw at you, and it will come back to haunt you because you realize that you let go in a very, very weak spot. Stay committed. Don't ever make that mistake of compromising. You just can't afford to do it. You can forgive yourself if that happens at some point in time. That doesn't matter. All of us make mistakes. But the moment you compromise, you actually allowed an ego battle to surface, because people are not judging you for being a vegan. They are judging you for what they are not. Right? I just remember this. When people talk to you about your compromises, people talk to you about your principles, people call out the inefficiencies or inadequacies of a vegan diet or a vegan lifestyle, they are actually not trying to put you down. They are elevating themselves from a lower level because they want to be seen as somebody superior to you. So the only way they can do that is to lower you. Don't let that happen. You're doing the right thing and you need to hold on to it. And I'm sure you can. Right? The fourth point. So the first thing that I told you is don't get into the comparison juggernaut. Right? The second thing I said, don't allow yourself to be painted into a corner. The third is never compromise. And the fourth is never be apologetic. You don't need to feel sorry about being a vegan. I've heard so many of these vegans who actually start off before a lunch meeting or a conversation. You know what? I hope you won't mind that, I am a vegan. I said, what? Why? You are as entitled to your food, to your lifestyle, to your principles as much as anybody else. If at all anybody has to be apologetic, it's the one who killed another life. He has to say, I'm sorry I killed a goat today, I killed a bird today, I killed a fish today. Why are you and I apologetic? We need to be brave, we need to be extremely courageous, we need to be believing in ourselves that we are doing the right thing and we are doing it for the right reason. We are doing it to save lives. Why would we be apologetic about saving a life? Why would we be apologetic about letting another animal live? Don't ever be apologetic. You don't need to be apologetic. You need to be on the other side of life. You have to stand up and say, hey, I'm doing the right thing. You are the one who has to apologize. So if you have to go into a meeting, if you have to go into a party, if you have to go to a wedding, don't go out and say, I'm sorry, you don't mind if I don't have this. No. You're saying, I'm sorry, you don't have the food that I should be eating. I'm a vegan and I will only eat food that I should be eating. I am not sorry about not wearing silk to this wedding. I know what I should be wearing and I'm doing the right thing. I've come here with full of positive energy. I've come here without guilt. I've come here without blood in my hands. I've come here without having destroyed the planet. I'm not going to be sorry. So you don't need to be apologetic, right? And the fifth one is never lose the courage to speak up. Don't feel shy. Don't be meek. Speak up. And the way you speak up is not only when you have to ask for something, not only when you have to, sort of fight for something. Keep talking about it. I always wear this badge. I have my raincoat or my wind cheater has a vegan message behind it. My carry bag, my shoulder bag, my laptop bag, I have this message on all that I took because I want to keep talking about it. I need to keep reinforcing it, not to tell the people that I am vegan. It's to constantly remind them that they have a responsibility to go vegan. So have the courage. No matter what people tease you for, they could come and say, oh, he is always talking about it. There's always this badge that he doesn't walk around without. So what? People don't change their lifestyle, hairstyle. People don't change. They don't go out to a wedding without a lipstick. I don't go without this. This is my best accessory. And what you need to do that, what you need to do to talk with courage, without being apologetic about it, is to know, read well, have your numbers with you, have your statistics, have your resources, read up, be aware. Don't, because if you're not there, then you're going to be getting, painted into a corner. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't know what you stand for, then you're going to be pushed into a corner. We will not allow that to happen. Therefore, use organizations, use events like this to empower yourself with knowledge, empower yourself with a lot of information, and remember them, have them handy, and do not lack the courage to hurl it on somebody who comes to you and tries to corner you. So just to go back, don't compromise, don't be apologetic, don't ever think you're doing the wrong thing. You're always doing the right thing, and believe in it and let the world know that you're doing the right thing. Okay? Is there something more that we should remember? Let me take you through another facet of how we should think as vegans. So how do you use all of this in a work environment, in a family function, like I said, and you're going on a picnic, you're going for an office party, you're going for a conference. You obviously can't go there and say, I'm vegan, I'm going to fight at this because you want to show courage, right? But there are plenty of ways of doing it, right? The first one is to be assertive. Be very firm that you are a person of principles, that you are a vegan, which is where this helped me. And I can tell you this has been so helpful, because when I go to a conference or go to an office meeting, when I've done a meeting overseas, as soon as they've seen it, somebody in the office relays the message. And by the time somebody is preparing for lunch, asking for preferences, there is a reminder, says, hey, remember, we have a vegan amongst us. So ensure that we go to a place that has got vegan options. It's not that everybody else is going to turn vegan, but they will ensure that you get what you are entitled to. So make your preferences known, make your principles well established, right? So be assertive. The second part is, like I said, if you're not empowered with knowledge, with information, with data, you're going to be missing out on that. So pay attention to articles, to stories, the right kind. Listen to a lot of webinars, podcasts, and so on and so forth, and keep getting that. And have conversations that make you look knowledgeable and authoritative about it. So don't wait to be cornered before you use all of that knowledge. Have those conversations, because remember, the more of us talking is going to be more of us turning vegans. We need more vegan changes. We don't have the time. The planet does not have the time for fractional changes, incremental changes. We need to have drastic, large changes. If we need to stop these kind of COVID situations, if the next vegan expo that we're having has to happen with 20,000 of us in attendance, it can't happen without all of us going vegan. And therefore, we need to talk. Don't be apologetic about it, don't be shy about it, and don't be restricted, don't wait. Please talk about it whenever you get the opportunity. There's nothing wrong in it. Nobody's going to find fault with you. And if they do, so what? So again, this is like what Mahatma Gandhi ji said. When you speak the truth, the world listens. All we need to do is to convince him that we are speaking the truth. The other part is when you come back to a family situation. I've been told by so many youngsters, especially young girls who are getting married, who reach out to me and say, you know what, Anand, I have this big problem is I can't hurt my mother-in-law. I can't hurt my sister-in-law. I can't hurt my husband. He's being so loving. He's such a nice man. Otherwise, but the moment I talk about it, he gets angry and he doesn't want to do anything with that sort. He stopped taking us out for dinner and so on and so forth, right? I have two ways of addressing this issue, and I want you to please handle this very delicately. The first one is, if you're worried about how hurt your mother-in-law would be, or whoever it is, right? Your mother, your mother-in-law. For a moment, take away her from the scene, and in her place, in her face, remember the face of an animal that is killed for the food. Which pain is bigger? Is the pain of the relationship bigger, which is very personal, which is very selfish, which is just between you and some other person? Or is the larger universal pain of animals dying for human greed bigger? We can't be selfish. We can't say, I want to protect my personal one-to-one relationship with the person in front of me at the cost of hundreds of lives outside. Please make that decision. Have the courage to take the decision. Individual relationships can be handled. Universal relationships cannot be let to suffer. So stand up for it. Have those conversations, have diplomatic conversations, explain it to them, let them know that you stand up for what you have. But if they don't see reason, for heaven's sake, don't compromise. Don't let that animal suffer because you are not able to have a convincing argument or a convincing discussion with somebody that you love. They have nobody else. So we need to stay extremely committed to what we need to do. So don't worry about those relationships. Am I asking you to throw them away, disrespect them? No. But place your self-respect above that. Stand up for what you are. They will start respecting you eventually. Of course, there will be ups and downs in relationships. But have the courage to face them. And you're doing it for the right reason, for the right purpose. I don't think there's anything wrong in it. It's a personal opinion. I would urge you to use your wisdom, your judgment, your future, all of the surroundings that you live in before you take those decisions. But I would firmly believe that we need to prioritize the larger cause over something that's very, very singular. Right? And the other thing is about saying compromises. What if I don't have a vegan option? I find that argument very difficult to accept because I haven't ever seen any place, and I've been to hundreds of dining options. I've been to a lot of conferences, a lot of weddings, all of that. I have never come across a situation where there has been nothing to eat, especially in India. How difficult is it to take some plain rice and mix some dal in it and have some salad? There are hundreds of sabjis that are available without all of these problems. Ensure you ask. And in fact, when you go to big hotels and you go tell them, listen, I want this dal to come back to me without the ghee, they will give it to you. They will respect it. It's not going to be difficult. Don't think it's not possible and either starve or compromise. Ask for it. I can't believe there could be any place in this country that can't get you half a dozen bananas or 2 apples. The world is full of food. There is so much food. Again, what Gandhiji said, enough for man's need, not enough for his greed. You don't need to look at a 40-dish spread for your lunch or your dinner. You just need 2, 3 items to fill you up and give it to you with a lot of nutrition and good health. So don't ever hesitate. I don't think there is a situation where you need to compromise. In fact, I can give you this personal experience. I was flying Bombay, New York. Emirates forgot to put up my vegan food request on the plane. And they said they didn't have anything vegan. And they were absolutely wrong. They had plenty of options. Of course, in an aircraft, there is only that much that they can shuffle around because there is somebody else who's ordered that food. But I actually ended up having a lot of healthy nuts, a lot of dates, a lot of fruits, fruit juices. And it's not like I landed up in New York 19 hours later feeling famished. I felt extremely energized. I was extremely well rested, well nourished. They found the food. You will never starve as long as you demand and you fight for it. Right? Put all of these in consideration. Remember all of this. If you don't compromise, don't allow yourself to be painted into a corner. You will not be apologetic. You will have the courage to stand up. You will not be shy. If you can remember that you are always on the front foot, because you and I are the ones who are doing all of this right. We are not doing anything wrong. We are doing everything right. We are doing what we should be doing as co-inhabitants of this beautiful planet. I hope I've been able to make some sense. I hope I've been able to give you something, that little bit of courage that you need to stand up for all those billions of lives that depend on a few of us to find themselves in a state of newfound bliss. Do what you can in every way you can, as often as you can, all the places that you can, for as long as you're around here. Thank you.